Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my review of The Kid Who Would Be King. So I'm rocking my contemporary King Arthur crown hat in Game of Thrones because I thought, it's kind of medieval-ish, maybe it's the theme. Right, enough of that. A new spin on King Arthur. Haven't we heard that many a time before? But this time, it is a family-friendly version of King Arthur set in a live-action setting in the contemporary day and age. That is a little bit different. However, the trailers didn't have me convinced that different was necessarily going to result in a good retelling of King Arthur, because Lord knows that's hard to come by. And of course, we have yet another family film with an overly cumbersome title that's just kind of hard to remember. You're like the Kid King movie. What? I don't remember the full title. And unfortunately, I think that seems to be a theme over the last few years. We always get at least one or two family friendly films that just have these overly wordy, really cumbersome titles. But this turned out to be a really fun film. I enjoyed myself with The Kid Who Would Be King. So let's go ahead and talk about the positives. Well, the biggest positive is the reimagining of the King Arthur tale. I loved the setting of this high school, middle school, not junior school. Sorry, I don't know the UK school system. And they just referenced that they were no longer in junior school. So I liked the setting of 12-year-olds, if you will, going and being our heroes. And this is definitely one of those films in which kids can go watch other kids be empowered, go on epic journeys, and be the actual heroes. Through and through, across the board, kids are the heroes here. And having a kid centered fantasy film of this epic proportion is a lot of fun. And these kids feel like kids. They don't just feel like miniature adults running around speaking in ways that children don't naturally speak. No, they felt like 12-year-olds, and it was a lot of fun to see. Plus, I loved how we retold, reimagined, and highly incorporated the classic King Arthur legend into the film. We just wove it really well into this story, as well as educated children who might not be so familiar with the King Arthur story. They got the classic legend and then they got the reimagined version all in one, and both were pretty great. And when speaking on that King Arthur legend, I loved the opening animated sequence. I thought that was done beautifully well. I also really enjoyed all of the underlying messages that are presented here. I really liked the development between the mother and son relationship that takes place, the lesson to be learned there. I also really enjoyed the lessons that, Lance and Lady Kay learn in their adventure. And then the overarching message of legends being written by the wealthy and the rich. You can't take them for face value. The importance is the meaning and the heart of the legends themselves, and embodying the good from them. It's not all about nobility. It's about you as a person and being pure hearted, yada yada yada. But I thought it all worked really well. As for the acting, I think it was serviceable, mostly across the board. Rebecca Ferguson plays our villain in the film, and I actually thought she was fantastic. I loved her whisper talk for the voice. I thought her actual embodiment of her as a physical character was great. Sir Patrick Stewart was wacky and wonderful. You could tell he was just kind of having fun with it. Denise Gough was wonderful as the mother. I thought she actually was fantastic, and I wish we had gotten a little more from her. And then Louis Ashbourne Circus was great in our lead. He was by far the best of the child actors, and he just worked really well. He was charming, he was relatable, he really just hooked you in and made you care about his character, not only in the fantastical, like, safety concerns, but for his character's well being across the board. He did a great job. And the fantasy is fun, the action is fun, it's inventive. Every now and then the CGI gets a tad hokey, but for the most part, I actually thought the CGI was really strong for the movie. For as many jokes as there are in the film, I think a good portion of them land well. It's just a really good time. So, what doesn't work so well in this latest King Arthur tale? Well, there's a dragon in this movie, and I'm not going to speak any further on said dragon, but I hated the design a lot. And talk about not great CGI. The CGI on said dragon, not great. But that design in general was a choice. Also, we need a lot of suspension of believability across the board. Of course, we're in a fantasy, but even in real world settings, when you're dealing with kids, for the most part, they're not like these overpowered kids who just pick up Excalibur and wield it perfectly. No, which is great. They have to learn their skill. However, we get to points where they learn their skill, seemingly expert level, like that. There are other parts where you're kind of just like, I don't know. This is really well organized. I think y'all had about 2 hours, they said, and to get everything done, and this was a lot for children to get done. It looked cool, and it actually made for really cool world building that I appreciated. But there are definitely many conveniences that are required to move this story along or just kind of lapse in any sort of believability. And especially maybe for smaller children, the middle portion of this film, I think, maybe drags a bit too long. Like some of the walking segments, some of the travel, if you will, some of the lore exploring. While it definitely adds to the story at large, this film clocks in at over 2 hours long. So I don't know that it's going to keep small children's interest or not. That's obviously up to you as a parent, but the pacing slows a bit through that middle portion. Unfortunately, some of our child actors are not so great. In particular, Betters in this film, was too much. He had a very monotone performance. It was a very whiny, kind of annoying performance throughout the film, and I was just not on board. Also, our Lance, the acting was fine, I thought, but the development for the characters throughout the movie kept you from connecting to him even when you're supposed to. And then we skipped development to move on to the next stage of his character, so had a couple of quibbles with him as well. But honestly, these are mostly minor quibbles. I think this was a great fantasy family-friendly film, a genre that we used to get a whole lot more of. And honestly, this beckons back to the era of really great, really solid, strong, family-friendly epics. Big scale, fun, adventure, fantasy. It's all there and it's all done so well. So for that, I have to give this a full price ticket. I think you will definitely enjoy yourself if you like period pieces, if you like that King Arthur lore. I think you're going to have fun as an adult watching the film. I think the whole family is really going to enjoy this adventure. So it's definitely worth a watch, and I'd say worth the full price ticket. So that is my review of The Kid Who Would Be King. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on our latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see The Kid Who Would Be King? And what is your favorite adaptation of King Arthur for the big screen? Let me know either in the comment section down below, or you can hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!